Viewers of my channel, The Magic of Java, will know that once a month I do a talk based on the tarot. I mean, it is a true tarot reading, but I do it as a talk, a sort of a general talk to humanity, rather than a particular zodiac sign or for a particular person. So it's very general things, but I am led by the tarot. And what I thought I'd do is, instead of using tarot cards, I'd be led by nature. I'd be led by my walk down the mountain. And as I see things, because I mean it does inspire me, to talk about what I'm being inspired by and what I'm thinking. So I hope you enjoy it. So we really are into the rainy season now. In fact, if you've been watching my shorts, there've been very strong winds, storms, and a lot of rain. We've just had a few days of dry weather, but that's quite unusual. So you can see the paddy's growing. Things are much greener than the last time I showed you. And if we look on the other side, well, you know, some paddy is planted, but not all. So there will be a lot more rain to come over this season. It's El Nino this year, so there will be quite a lot. Well, now it was less than a month ago, and I showed you this valley. And I said I wouldn't be able to show it you again, anything like so well, because all the trees and the foliage will have grown. And of course they have, and you can see it. And it's so green to how it was the last time. And I knew it would be green, and I know the seasons. But every time I see it, I'm impressed by the majesty of God. Yeah, that whatever we do, whatever goes on in our lives, the seasons don't really change. And here's a slightly different view of the valley, and following on from what I said, you know, there's a lot of talk at the moment about nuclear Armageddon, and certainly some people seem intent on creating wars with people who do have the ability to destroy everything. But is it destroying everything? You know, because of the universe would bounce back. It would be just man that's killed off, wouldn't it? And it reminds us of the majesty of God. He's said to us, you do what you want. If you want to destroy yourselves, that's all right. But the universe will keep on going. And of course, you might ask, well, why is he speaking like this? Why is he talking about such things? And do you know, as soon as I get into the mountains, my brain is freed to think of more profound things. I mean, for some of you, it might be going by the sea, you know, going to the beach. But for me, it's the mountains, and the moment I get here, my mind is clear of the minutiae, the flotsam and jetsam of the city, and I'm free to think of what I believe to be more important issues. So I'm really not saying anything I've not said before, but I walk down the mountain every 5 days because we have a 5-day calendar in Java. So there's a market every what's known as pon, which happens every 5 days. And it's a form of meditation to me. I can feel nature speaking to me, if only I will listen. If I'll quieten the brain, then in my heart I can feel what nature wants to tell me. And I think that's it. I think that's why I crave to get back to the mountains. To get back to the mountains, to open my heart and to receive these, what I consider to be profound communications. And what are these profound communications I speak of? Well, you might not think they're profound, but I do. And I suppose the one that's really struck me today is, no matter what man does to himself, however important he might consider his conflicts and his wars, God is going to ensure that the universe continues, with or without man. It doesn't need man to continue in its way. And I think that really is important and something that we should learn. Don't get wrapped up in these things that we have created, because in the shape of things, they really are pretty insignificant. And here at the masjid, we're reminded of some of these sort of superficial things created by man. I mean, this is a Muhammadiyya masjid, as opposed to NU, who are the majority. I actually attend Muhammadiyya more than I do NU, but it is more associated with sort of Salafis. I wouldn't call it Salafi, but more associated. But of course, the big division that's being exploited like mad at the moment is between Shia and Sunni Muslims. Well, I'm Sunni, you know, but why? Why do we need? You know, and I get posts whenever I say anything positive about Shias. I get posts telling me atrocities from hundreds of years ago. And yeah, there's real hatred expressed towards Shias. Real hatred. And when you look into what they're accused of, often these are false accusations. Sometimes going back centuries, but they're often false. And I can't understand it, you know. When we meet Allah and Allah asks us to account for what we've done in our lives, do you think he'll really be impressed that we've picked a fight with fellow Muslims? Picked a fight with fellow man? Because remember, the universe will go on as normal without us. Now this really is the steepest part of my walk. Of course it's not a problem going down, but coming back up I do struggle. I will sweat an awful lot. And I think this reminds us, you know, that for every gain we have, there will be a forfeit. We can't just go on trying to control the environment, trying to control others, trying to control everything without there being repercussions. For in nature, at least, every action does have an equal, maybe not an opposite, but an equal reaction. And in this little house here are some children. And when they first saw me walking down, they used to shout. You know, I mean, there aren't any other Western people for many, many miles, so it's understandable. But they used to shout a little and maybe throw stones at me. And slowly they've come round, and I think this teaches us, or it's taught me at least, about patience and about tolerance. And, you know, I buy them little toys and little gifts, and now they've become very friendly towards me. Now, you have to be careful about not buying people off because they get used to it, but I think it has taught me tolerance, that things aren't as they first seem. And this is the home of my relative. My relative that sells raffia animals outside Pasar Berin Harjo in Jogja. And what can we learn from this? Well, you know, she just stands outside the market and sells her animals to tourists. And you might think it's not much of a business. It's one of the best businesses I know of. You look at her house, it's absolutely lovely. I mean, no, she doesn't have a Lamborghini, you know, it isn't that, wonderful, but much better than the neighbours. So it's a very good business. And, you know, people make some money by bringing foodstuffs up the mountain every day, selling them from door to door. But middle-class Indonesians wouldn't see this as a business, wouldn't see this as important. And when they start a business, they have to spend a lot of money. It has to be the biggest and the best. It has to be something that would appeal to them and their friends. And all too often, it's a terrible mistake and ends up in bankruptcy. And I've got a friend, you know, who should know better. He lives in, well, you know, it's a bit out of the way. And behind his house, he spent an awful lot of money on creating a lovely, lovely coffee shop. I mean, it's lovely, it's beautiful. And he gets quite a lot of customers. But, you know, they spend all day in there and what they're drinking. Maybe 3 cups of coffee, maybe a snack. I mean, I'd be surprised if the average cover is $10. And that's for spending an entire day in there. So he's never going to get a return on his investment. You know, I'm not even certain that he covers his variable costs, let alone his fixed costs. But Indonesians seem to think that that's a business. Now, this friend who's got this coffee shop, he wants to see me. I did go and see him and, you know, he wasn't there and it cost me quite a lot of money to get there. Why does he want to see me? Well, is it to ask my advice on how to get more customers? Or more likely, as I suspect, is it to ask me to invest in his business, which, as I've said, isn't a business, it's a charity. You know, if the truth be known. And it's so insulting, you know, because I taught at a major international business school. I could have told him, you're never going to get the return on your investment. And if he didn't believe me, I'd have spent the time proving it to him, showing him how to calculate his empty plate cost, etc. But no, he just charged into it. And now he wants me to sort out what can't be sorted. And I don't really want to have a go at my friend, but, you know, doesn't this tell us about how people are towards one another? They're not responsible for their own actions. And then they want to drag others into the disasters they've caused, believing somehow they've got a right to impose this on others. Never thinking about others, never thinking about what others need and others want and how they should behave towards others with responsibility, just as they should behave with responsibility towards themselves. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm whinging, because I'm merely reflecting. And I'm reflecting because I'm here in the mountains. I'm here in this beautiful place. You know, this is one of the most beautiful scenes I know of. And every time I see it, particularly after the rains, I'm taken aback by just how beautiful it is. And as I say, we should be humbled by nature. And these things that are going on, you know, okay, I'm smarting a bit because I paid quite a lot of money in taxi fees to get to my friends. He wasn't even there, you know. He claimed his mother was ill. I don't know if that's true or not. So yeah, I'm smarting a bit from being disrespected in that way. But it's all put into context, isn't it, when you see this? Isn't it wonderful, eh? And I have to add, you know, that maybe I've got it wrong about my friend and the coffee shop. I really don't know. He's just looking at it. that's made me draw this conclusion, and we often jump to the wrong conclusions, don't we? As you'll know, my mother died over a year ago, and I've been waiting for probate and to sell the house and get the money, and it's still some way off, I've got to say. But my solicitor phoned me yesterday and said she wanted to speak to me, and I needed ID, and I'm panicking. What does she mean by ID? What does she want exactly, you know? So I'm getting all these things prepared for when we speak. When we finally spoke, she just needed to see me hold up a picture of a photo ID so that she could confirm I was still alive. So as humans, you know, we don't half invent stories, and I'm the worst of them. You know, I taught business strategy, so I am a deep thinker. And I think through every machination, but some of this is purely driven by fear, and I get things completely wrong. And I think fear is our biggest enemy. You know, I'm thinking, oh, what if they won't release the money from my mum because of this, because of that? What if I can't do it this way, can't do it that way? And, you know, why am I trying to control it? Everything will be all right. God will provide. And if only we can free ourselves from this desire to control and realise that God has given us such abundance for all of us to enjoy. Everything will be fine. But we get ourselves into these situations, don't we? We take on mortgages or rental fees and loans that are dependent on us earning a lot of money. What's it for? You know, I guess if we've got a lovely apartment and a Lamborghini, it makes us feel good. But why do we feel bad in the first place? Probably because we're doing a job that doesn't make us happy. It's not right, is it, the way we've organised ourselves? Now, excuse my voice. I've just walked up what is the steepest hill on my walk down to the market. And when I come to walk down it on the way back, I'm not that happy, because I know I've got to walk all the way back and further up. And I think, wouldn't it be good if they just built a bridge that flattened this out so I didn't have to walk down and didn't have to walk up? But of course, if such a big bridge was ever to be built, they banned pedestrians. So it wouldn't be for me anyway. Doesn't that tell us a lot about life? I think so. And I'm very near at the end of my journey, very nearly in the village. But you know, once I've got there and done a few things, I have to walk all the way back. And isn't that how life is? You know, we set these goals, but once we reach them, we have another goal. Where do these goals come from, hey? Are we just trying to please others? I mean, why do I do this YouTube channel when they keep demonetising me for no reason at all? When I keep battling with them over their stupidity? Is it to make myself feel good, morally right? I've no idea. But I've got the compulsion to do it. And why did my friend want to throw what are probably his life savings into this beautiful coffee shop? Beautiful, yes, but he'll never get his money back. I mean, he'd reached the top of his career. He'd even advised the president on his area of expertise. But he still feels the need to prove something. To who? To his neighbours? You know, prove that he's a good businessman, when blatantly he isn't. And yet we keep doing it. We keep doing things to please others. Keep doing things to impress others. Why? Why? Why do I want a moral victory over YouTube? It's not even YouTube, it's bloody AI. Now, I had the impression that maybe the market was quieter. Oh, somebody else wants. Maybe the market was quieter. Certainly, you know, I got two daughters, both who went to the best and most expensive universities for their subjects. Both graduated top of their class, and one has graduated, well, more than 5 years ago, and still has never really found a job, or a proper job. And the other, she's only just graduated, but in business, and she can't find a job. But we're told the economy is doing extremely well. Now, if I'm right that the market is quieter, and certainly Basinko doesn't seem to have got as much stock as she used to have, why would that be? Well, my wife no longer comes here. She gets her stuff delivered from the C-store, and many of the traditional things from the market are nowadays sold online. Was this a result of the health crisis? I have to say I think it was. And more so than that, what I'd say is, just because of the economy seems to be doing well, should we not ask who for? Because if the economy isn't working for people here, they're moving to Jakarta and causing even more problems. So I suppose I'm posing a question. What are economies? How do we measure them? Now, I know how to measure them, believe me. Most people think I'm an economist. I've certainly constructed highly complex econometric models, so that was a much more profound question. What are economies? How do we measure them, and who for? Because if the people here are becoming more impoverished, they will just move to Jakarta. And you know, as you know, Jakarta's sinking into the Java Sea. It's overcrowded. It's now sometimes got the worst pollution in the world, but certainly in the top 10. How does that help anybody? How is it helping anybody? Just because a few people who own online stores are doing well. And you can see the sun's out now. It's now already after 7. So I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, but in making these vlogs for you, I've left it a bit late to be getting home, and my punishment, if you like, or the equal and opposite reaction, is I have to walk home in the heat. Because as you can see, the sun's well out now, and I'll sweat like mad on the way home.